Hello, good afternoon. Today we are going to talk about the chapter 3 of the biosphere. Let's start with the lesson 3.1, that is what is ecology. But first, we need to know what is biosphere. Biosphere consists of all the life, including land, water, and the atmosphere. In this, organisms from little bacteria to giant whales live, and from little plants to giant trees are there. What's ecology? Ecology is a scientific study of interactions among organisms and interactions between organisms and their physical environment. Now we are going to talk about the levels of organization. First, we have the species. The species are the same individual animal that can breed and produce fertile offspring. Then we have a population. There is a group of individuals living in the same area. Then we have the community. There is a group. There is a combination of different populations that live in a definite area that is called a community. Then we have the ecosystem. That is a place where the animals live and share some characteristics of the environment. Then we have the biome. There is a group of ecosystems that share certain characteristics, like the forests in USA are the same forests as in Russia. They share similar characteristics because of their position. And then we have our entire planet with all the organisms, and their physical environment is known as the biosphere. In the biosphere, we have two types of factors, the biotic and abiotic factor. The biotic factor are the living things that interact with their environment and other living things. Some examples can be deers, frogs, plants, mushrooms, bacteria, and in the other hand, we have the abiotic factors. The abiotic factors are the non-living parts of the environment, such as sunlight, water, rocks, soil, sand, etc. Just like the other sciences, ecology has its own methods. Ecology has three methods. One is observation. They observe what happens in the ecosystem and then tries to explain that. Then we have the experimentation. They make experimentations with animals without harming them to see what are their abilities or how can they survive in this type of ecosystem. And then we have the modeling. This model, they use it most likely to make new things. They don't want to ruin the environment, so they make a little scale, like a type of scale forest to further experiment to see what will be the reaction in a bigger scale. Now we're going to move to the 3.2 lesson. Here we are going to say what is a primary producer. The primary producer is a plant that can produce its own food and has the highest energy-rich compounds, but it is lately eaten by another animal. This type of consumer is also called autotroph because it uses chemosynthesis and photosynthesis to make food. We have photosynthesis and chemosynthesis. Photosynthesis, as we all know, because we have seen this topic from junior high school, is that plants get the light energy and produce their own food. But we haven't heard about chemosynthesis. Chemosynthesis is for the plants that are not having sunlight because they are in caves or they are in the deepest parts of the ocean. They use chemical process to produce their food. Now I'm going to talk you about the consumers. The consumers are also called heterotroph because they need to eat another animal to gain energy. First we have the carnivores. These animals kill another animal and eat him to survive. Then we have herbivores. The herbivores, they only eat plants. They cannot eat meat because of their capacity, so because of their diet. Then we have the scavengers. The scavengers are carnivores, but they don't kill. They just eat the rest of an animal that has been eaten or is dead. Then we have the omnivores. This is like a combination of carnivore and herbivore. An example can be humans that we eat plants and meat. Then we have the decomposers that eats the rest of the organic matter when an animal dies. And finally we have the detritivores, that this type of animals eat the decomposers in order to gain their energy. Now we're going to move to the lesson 3.3, that is how energy flows in ecosystems. Energy flows through an ecosystem in one-way stream, from primary producers to various consumers. A food chain is a series of steps in which the organism's transfer of energy is by being eaten or eating. Then we have the food web, that is like a more complex food chain that has different interactions between organisms and plants. Now we're going to see what is a trophic level. A trophic level is each step of the food chain or food web. We have the ecological pyramids that shows the relative amount of energy matter contained in each trophic level. We have first the pyramid of energy. The pyramid of energy shows the relative amount of energy available at each trophic level of a food chain or food web. Now we're going to move on to the biomass pyramid. This one shows the relative amount of living organic matter at each trophic level. Then we have the pyramid of numbers that shows the relative amount of organisms in each trophic level. The difference with the biomass is that this one shows you how many organisms are in the trophic level. Now we're going to move to the lesson 3.4, cycles of matter. How does matter move through an ecosystem to a biosphere? Matter doesn't move like the energy. Matter moves by biochemical cycles, so that it is not that easy to move. These are going to be some examples of the process that biochemical cycles do. The biochemical process is in which it consists, like for example, when you breathe, when you eliminate waste, or when you breathe. Then we are going to move to the geological process. This is for when they make volcanic eruptions or the formation of mountains. The chemical and physical process is, for example, when the clouds produce thanks to the condensation and precipitations and the flow of running water and the action of lighting. Then we have the human activities like the clearing of forests, cutting trees, clearing lands, producing oil productions in the ocean. Now I'm going to talk you about the water cycle. We have the first, that the heat of the sun condensates, evaporates the water, and it condensates to the top, and then it forms clouds. These clouds then, by the pass of the time, they start producing more water and they need to get it off, so they make it in the process of precipitation. And the precipitation is raining, and this process repeats again and again and again. We have more processes like the nitrogen cycle and the phosphorus cycle. Now we are going to talk about the nutrient limitation. How does nutrient availability relate to the primary productivity of an ecosystem? If ample sunlight and water are available, the primary productivity of an ecosystem might be limited by the ability of the nutrients. The nutrients whose supply limits productivity is called limiting nutrients.